Hi, David Henson here with HensonFuerst Attorneys. One of the most confusing ways to be paid is through tips, and it can be very difficult to know if your employer is obeying the law. The first thing to know is that most employees must earn at least minimum wage and overtime, no matter if your wages are based on an hourly rate or a trip rate or on tips. If you're working in a job that typically is a tip position and you regularly earn more than $30 per month in tips, your employer can pay you as little as $2.13 an hour and have the tips you receive make up the rest of your hourly wages up to and above minimum wage. If, however, your hourly rate plus the tips you earned in any given week do not add up to $7.25 for each hour you worked, then your employer must pay you more in wages to make up the difference and bring your hourly rate for the hours you worked up to the minimum wage. It is also important to know that your employer may not require that you give a portion of your tips to the house. Your tips are yours to keep. The only exceptions to this are: 1, that the employer may deduct taxes or garnishments as required by law and any benefits you may pay for through your paycheck. 2, the employer may deduct the credit card service charge that was charged on your tips. And 3, if the employer has a tip pool arrangement. In a tip pool, all tips are collected together, then divided amongst the participants. However, a tip pool must meet certain requirements to be valid under both federal and North Carolina laws. First, a tip pool must be agreed upon in advance of any paycheck. Your employer cannot pay you and then tell you that some of your wages went into a tip pool. Second, only employees who regularly and customarily receive tips may participate in a tip pool. This means that employers can't randomly decide who will get to share the tip money. For example, the only employees who can participate are those in positions that are widely considered tipped positions, not just employees that your employer says are tipped. For example, wait staff, bussers, hostesses, and bartenders may participate in a valid tip pool, but cooks, dishwashers, and staff who work exclusively in the kitchen may not participate. Third, there are limits to the amount your tips may be reduced in a valid tip pool. In a valid tip pool, you must ultimately be paid at least 85% of the tips you earned each night. It's also important to note that you can't be taxed on tips that you do not actually receive. For example, if you receive $100 in tips and put $15 into the tip pool, then you have $85 left in your pocket. Then you get $5 back as part of the distribution formula of the tip pool. That means at the end of the night, you walk away with $90. You should not be taxed on the $100 you originally had. You should only be taxed on the $90 that was in your pocket at the end of the night after the tip pool. If you're taxed on the $100, you have paid too much in taxes and your employer may be violating the tip pooling requirement under the law. Employers must keep meticulous records of how much you receive in tips, how much goes into a tip pool, how much you receive back from a tip pool, which employees are participating in the tip pool, and whether you are earning minimum wage. Unfortunately, some employers don't keep these kinds of careful records, and some employers run afoul of the law in how they pay tipped employees. If you suspect that your employer is incorrectly paying your tips, feel free to call us at 1-800-4LAW-MED. If you have additional questions, please check out some of our other Wage and Hour YouTube videos or the Wage and Hour section of our website at lawmed.com/wage and hour. This is David Henson with HensonFuerst Law Office. If you have questions, HensonFuerst has answers.